3D Snoopy Acrylic Nail Art Tutorial by Hotpinkzebrapolish. Hi everyone! In today's video I'm going to be doing a 3-part nail design for Snoopy, and the first nailer is going to be Snoopy with a Santa hat, the second nail is going to have Woodstock sitting on a present once again with a Santa hat, and the third one is going to be the Charlie Brown Christmas tree with that single sad little red ornament. So I hope you like this design, and don't forget to click subscribe to my future videos as well. So to begin with, I'm going to start with a layer of light blue acrylic. This is just over the background, and this is only for the purpose of adding the color to the background. I'm not worried about adding my apex or making this nail strong at this point. It is solely for the purpose of having a nice light blue color in the background. And so I'm going to make sure that that is thin and smooth. So then I'm going to be adding an overlay of clear acrylic over the top. Clear acrylic is going to always be automatically stronger than any color or glitter acrylic or anything like that, because there's nothing in the way, no pigment, no glitter, no fibers in the way of the polymers interlocking and creating a really, really strong product. And so in general, you want to have some clear acrylic on it just so that it has strength. So now I'm going to be filing them into shape with my e-file. You can, however, use hand files. That is usually my preferred method as well. So then I'm going to be sculpting out my Snoopy. So I'm going to begin with his face. So I started with his muzzle area, and then I'm going to be working my way back. And so for all of the Peanuts characters, if you decide to do more of them as well, everything is really round shapes. You know, they don't have anything sharp. There's no fine details too much. It's all easy to see, easy to sculpt, nice rounded shapes, which if you are a beginner and you want to try something that is on the easier side, I would definitely recommend these guys because, like I said, it is a little easier. So then after I have that beginning shape done, I'm going to add some details to him, starting with his muzzle once again and adding 2 beads of white to that area. And the last one, I'm not going to blend it out at the bottom because that's going to leave a nice smile just perfectly in place, automatically, easy enough. And then I'm also going to add his ear just like that with white. And then I'm going to switch off to some red, and I'm going to be adding a little Santa hat. And I used a dark kind of a cranberry tone red. The reason I am using this color in particular is because I ran out of my Christmas or true red color, and it took me a long time and driving 3 hours to find regular red. I did happen to be going through that town anyway where I found it. Or it's not a town, it's a city. It's Madison, Wisconsin. That's a pretty big. It's not a town. I was going through Madison anyway, but it took me forever to find red acrylic. So then after I have his hat in place, I'm going to be adding the brim of it with some of the white acrylic. And I'm also, right there what I'm doing is because you know when you have a hat that's folding over like that, there's like a little thicker part where the material is folded. I just decided to add that part right there. And then also a little ball at the end of the hat with white. And then with black acrylic, I'll add his nose. And now switching to acrylic paint after this, I'm going to be adding all of the details. So I'm going to outline his smile right there like that, and then add his eyes. And when I'm doing things with black acrylic paint, especially on something like this where I'm doing a lot of outlining with thin lines, I want to make sure that my acrylic paint is diluted, which is what you can see me doing on my thumb. So I just take some paint on my brush, dip that in water, and then I mix it on my thumb. Making sure his eyes are the right size and shape and all that good stuff, also outlining his hat and everything in between. And especially with the Snoopy, you want to make sure that you outline around him because it's white against a light blue, and it wouldn't show up nearly as well without that. I also highlighted the brim of his hat with white, and then I'm going to be applying some gel sealer over the background and curing it, and then matte top coat over Snoopy himself and letting that dry. So now for my Woodstock, I'm going to be adding a little present for him to sit on. I figured since he is smaller, if it was just Woodstock on the nail, that would seem pretty empty, so I decided I would have him sitting on a gift. And for the gift, I made it sort of, not really a square. Whenever I sculpt out gifts, I always make them a different shape. I never like them to be perfectly square because I find that, I don't know, kind of boring for my taste. I like them more whimsical. So this is a little bit trapezoidy. I think I might have to add that to my personal dictionary. I like that word, trapezoidy. It's a new one. I don't think I've ever said that particular word before. And then, so I also added Woodstock then on top of my trapezoid present with yellow, and I want to make sure that you add a little bit of those little head feathers that stick out from behind his head, but you don't have to add them all over because the top of his head is going to get covered up in a hat anyway, so it'll just be a waste. And then also add his feet and his tail, and then with more of that unfortunately dark red acrylic. I would have rather had it been the bright red, but I think, I say that, and I probably would have used that still if I had it. However, I like the dark red too because it shows up and it's a nice contrast because everything in these is kind of pastel or bright. So that dark red does show up really nicely, but I don't know, it's up to you. You might like the dark red, who knows. So then I'm also going to add the brim of the hat and then that little ball in the end with white once again. And then with the dark red once again, I'm going to be adding the ribbon wrapping around my present. I have a nephew who's 9 who absolutely loves Snoopy and anything Snoopy involved. And he pretty much only wants things that are Snoopy. So if you can't find him something that's Snoopy, a lot of times it gets personalized to that way. So this isn't actually for him, it's for my sister. But yesterday my dad and I spent a good half a day making a 4-foot tall Snoopy out of melamine board and some paint. And so that was pretty exciting. And we didn't have the jigsaw that he wanted to use to cut it out, so we ended up using a scroll saw, which really isn't the right tool for the job, and there was some trial and error going on, and I'm actually super impressed with the fact that it turned out. And I'll see if I can get a picture of it. I'll post a picture of it on Facebook if you want to see how that turned out. But then apply some gel sealer over the background, and also add all your details with black paint on that guy, and then add some matte top coat over your Woodstock and over the present. And then for the tree, first apply a layer of gel sealer and cure. And then I'm going to be sculpting out my tree with brown acrylic. So I started with a really, really wet bead for the trunk of the tree and then stretch and pull that down so that it creates your little tree trunk. And then start adding the branches. And the branches you want to start with, you want them to be smaller at the top of the tree and then get progressively larger as you work your way down. And so when you do this, if you have a bead that's too big, you can just take your brush and remove some of the excess if you need to. But otherwise, or if they're too small, you can definitely go through like that and add some. But make sure that your acrylic is on the wetter side, because if it's too dry, it's not going to pull and stretch into nice thin lines. It's going to only want to be thicker, and it might not have nice smooth edges to it. It might end up a little bit cracky. If you do find that your acrylic seems to be a little bit too dry, you can take a damp brush and then just pat it against that dry acrylic, and that'll immerse some of that extra monomer into the acrylic, and it will make it a lot softer and smoother and easier to work with. And so then that's going to be the last row of branches for my tree. So then I'm going to switch to the same green acrylic that I used for Woodstock's present, and I'm going to be adding little tufts of pine needles here and there along the branches. I don't want them to be fully covered or anything. I want this tree to remain kind of sad and barren. So just a couple little bits of green here and there around it. Just like that. And then I'll add my single red ornament, which happens to be dark red. I'll paint that later so it is the right color. And then the last thing for this part is just to add the planks of wood at the bottom. These are going to be how the tree is standing, so it's 2 planks of wood that are crisscrossed just like that. And like I said with painting Snoopy stuff, I have painted several Snoopies since my nephew has discovered that Snoopy exists. It was a very exciting day for him. And so anytime my sister needs something Snoopy, birthday cake, what have you, I get called, Katie, can you paint Snoopy on this? Can you do this? So I paint Snoopy several times a month just for that wonderful little nephew of mine. So then I highlighted my tree with some tan paint, painted my ornament with red, highlighted that with white, and then I'm going to be outlining all of my branches with some black paint. And it isn't actually several times a month. It seems frequent. I do all sorts of artsy stuff. People consider me their personal art assistant in my family. So then I'm going to be adding some with white gel, just some snow in the background, and then snowflakes up above, and then curing that. And you can use gel paint, gel polish, builder gel, anything you got, and then gel sealer, cure it, and matte top coat over the top of the tree, and you are all done. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you like these as much as my nephew and I do. And don't forget to share recreations with us on Facebook and Instagram. We would both love to see them. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!